Let me tell you something strange about people who share almost everything online. We live in a time where silence feels suspicious and stillness feels wrong. If you don't post, people start to wonder if you're okay. If you disappear from stories for a few days, someone assumes something must have happened. But there's another kind of presence we've learned to normalize, the constant one. The person whose life seems to unfold in real time on your screen. The one whose story bubble is always lit, whose posts never stop. Birthdays, gym check-ins, meals, and quiet breakdowns disguised as "just kidding" captions. Their life feels like an ongoing broadcast. You might know someone like that. You might be someone like that. And there's a question underneath it all. Why? Why would someone feel pulled to share almost every corner of their life with an audience that is mostly watching quietly, tapping hearts, and moving on? It's easy to dismiss it with a quick label like attention-seeking or dramatic, but that's not the full picture. This is the psychology of people who post everything on social media. Underneath the filters and captions, there's an entire psychology at work. A complex mix of fear, longing, creativity, loneliness, joy, and a deep need to feel real in a world that increasingly exists on screens. See, for many people who post everything, social media isn't just an app, it's a mirror, it's a stage, and sometimes it's a lifeline. It's not just "look at me," ratting, it's "can you see me?" It's "do I still exist in your mind when you close the app?" Visibility starts to feel like proof of existence. When your photo appears at the top of someone's feed, you feel like you're still part of their world. Even if you haven't spoken in months, that little circle with your face in it becomes a soft plea. Don't forget me. People who share constantly are often more sensitive than they seem. They know how quickly people move on. They know how easily bonds fade. They know how quietly you can be replaced by the next face, the next story, the next distraction. So they post. They post the celebrations to mark that they happened. They post the pain so it doesn't feel invisible. They post the small, mundane moments, coffee, traffic, late night scrolling, because if they don't, the day starts to feel like it never really existed. Psychologically, this constant sharing is deeply tied to reassurance. A like isn't just a like, it's a micro-message. I saw you. A comment isn't just a line of text. It's proof that someone chose to pause their own endless scroll for you. For many people who post everything, every notification is a tiny exhale, a small relief. Okay, I haven't disappeared. Underneath, the same questions keep repeating. If I show you this part of my life, will you stay? If I open up in this way, will I still be accepted? If I keep showing up here, will I stay anchored in your mental universe? There's a concept in psychology called self-presentation. It's the way we manage how others see us. Offline, you can only present yourself to a few people at a time. Online, it's endless. If you're someone who posts everything, self-presentation doesn't happen just at parties or first dates. It happens every single day. Every selfie, every story, every caption is a small decision. What version of me am I releasing into the world right now? From the outside, it might look effortless, but internally, there's a constant calculation. What angle makes me look confident, not insecure? What words sound deep but not cringe? How do I share that I'm struggling without looking like I'm begging for attention? How do I show I'm happy without making it obvious that I'm trying to prove it? For people who post everything, life slowly becomes narrated in real time. They don't just experience a sunset. They instantly see it as a potential story. They don't just have a conversation. They think, should I post that quote? It's not just a meal, it's content. The line between this is my life and this is my feed starts to blur. For some, this actually feels empowering. They become the director of their own movie. They can stylize their experiences. They can give their days a certain aesthetic. They can turn messy reality into something more beautiful and curated. Posting becomes a form of self-expression, a way to make art out of ordinary life. But for others, the impulse comes from somewhere much more fragile, from the fear of disappearing. Maybe they grew up feeling ignored at home. Maybe they were overshadowed by louder siblings or busier parents. Maybe they were the friend who was always there for everyone else, but rarely checked on in return. Maybe they learned early that their emotions didn't get much response in real life. And now, with a phone in their hand, they finally have a place where their voice can echo. Even if it's through a screen, social media becomes the room where no one can fully talk over them. Their story plays whether people comment or not. Their posts sit there as proof that they existed in a moment, felt something, went somewhere, tried. Even if no one responds, the record is there. It's strangely comforting to scroll back and see your life laid out in pictures, as if saying, see, I was here. I've been trying this whole time. There's also the part about control. When you share everything, you get to shape the story before anyone else does. People who post constantly often have a deep fear of being misunderstood. Instead of leaving blank spaces for others to fill in with their own assumptions, they fill it themselves. They show you the breakup, but they also show you the glow up afterward. They show you the struggle, but they frame it with strength. It's a way of saying, if you're going to see me, let me at least choose the angle. That doesn't mean they're being fake. It means they're managing vulnerability. Total raw exposure is terrifying. So they share enough to feel seen, but not so much that they feel naked. It's like opening the door halfway. You're invited in, but they're still holding the handle, just in case. Then there's the dopamine loop. Every time you post and see a burst of notifications, your brain gets a hit of reward. Over time, your nervous system learns a pattern. Share something, feel a little high. That tiny rush can be incredibly addictive, especially when real life feels flat, uncertain, or unstable. If you're lonely, exhausted, or doubting yourself, the quick spike of digital approval becomes one of the easiest ways to feel temporarily okay. After a while, not posting can trigger its own kind of anxiety. A day without a story feels strangely empty. A week without content feels like fading away. You start to wonder, does anyone notice I'm quiet? Have they moved on? Am I losing relevance? Silence begins to feel like erasure. So you post again, and again, and again. But here's what makes it more complicated. Constant posting isn't always rooted in vanity. Often, it's rooted in loneliness. You can have hundreds or thousands of followers and still go to bed feeling like there's no one you can call. Sharing everything becomes a way to send out signals. I'm here. I'm awake. I'm struggling. I'm having fun. I'm trying. Underneath the gym mirror photo might be the quieter question. Do you still find me attractive? Underneath the meme might live a softer plea. Can I still make you laugh? Underneath the chaotic photo dump might be an unspoken line. My life hasn't completely fallen apart, right? Tell me it looks okay from where you're standing. People who post everything often feel emotions with high volume. Love is loud. Heartbreak is loud. Excitement is loud. Fear is loud. Social media becomes a container big enough to hold all that intensity. Their feed turns into a living journal, part performance, part confession. Memory plays a huge role too. For many, their profile is their archive. They are terrified of time slipping by without proof. So they document everything. The first day at a new job, the new haircut, the random Tuesday where nothing much happened but the sky looked too pretty not to capture. These posts aren't just for others. They're for future versions of themselves. When they scroll back, they're not just reminiscing. They're reminding themselves that they've grown, survived, changed, endured. If your inner world often feels unstable, having a visible timeline of your life can feel strangely grounding. I was there. I did that. I got through that. I laughed that day. I cried that night. The feed becomes a map of you, but visibility comes with a cost. When you share everything, everything becomes available for silent judgment. Every outfit, every rant, every vulnerable moment is now public material for quiet critiques, for screenshots, for group chats, for private opinions you'll never hear but always feel. Even if nobody leaves a hateful comment, the possibility is always there. And the fear of that possibility shapes what you post and how you post it. Was that too much? Do they think I'm annoying? Are people making fun of this in group chats I'm not in? Did I overshare? The same platform that comforts you can also magnify your self-consciousness. The more you post, the more you feel the invisible audience watching you, even when they say nothing at all. You might try to outdo your last story, make it funnier, more chaotic, more vulnerable, hoping to spark a stronger reaction. When the response is low, it can feel like you've failed at being interesting. Sometimes, people who post everything aren't trying to be extra, they're trying not to disappear. There's another piece many people don't talk about, the fear of being boring. In a culture where everyone is showcasing their best angles and wildest experiences, the idea of being seen as ordinary can feel like a slow death. Posting constantly becomes a way of proving to yourself and others that your life is worth watching, that you're doing things, going places, evolving. Even if your day is simple, you learn to frame it in a way that feels cinematic. The late night drive, the messy room, the quiet coffee, the crying selfie with a caption about growth. It isn't just drama, it's an attempt to make meaning, to turn the chaos and repetition of life into something that looks like a story. Deep down, many people who post everything are trying to answer a quiet fear. If I am not interesting, will I still be loved? And yet, for all the openness, there's often a surprising amount of secrecy. They can show you their bedhead mornings, their parties, their tears, their hospital bracelets, their cryptic quotes, and still hide the deepest parts of their heart, the wounds that shaped them, the betrayals they never healed from, the shame they're too afraid to name. Constant posting can create an illusion of total access, when in reality, you're seeing a controlled flood. A lot, but not all. Enough to feel exposed, but not enough to feel truly vulnerable. Sometimes, even they don't realize how much they're holding back. They just feel a restless urge to keep sharing without fully understanding what's driving it. If you've ever noticed that pattern in yourself, reaching for your phone instinctively every time something happens, it might be worth pausing and asking, what am I hoping this post will fix? Who am I hoping will see this? What feeling am I chasing when I hit share? Because underneath the psychology of posting everything is a paradox. On the surface, it looks like complete visibility, but on the inside, it can still feel like no one really sees you. There's also the quiet burnout that builds over time. When your life is always on display, you start to feel like you owe the algorithm a performance. You worry that if you stop feeding it, you'll vanish from people's screens and from their minds. You refresh to see who watched, who skipped, who stopped replying. The numbers become tiny verdicts. View counts, likes, replies, reactions. It's easy to forget that they're just metrics and start treating them like mirrors of your worth. When a post flops, it doesn't just feel like bad reach. It can feel personal. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I show too much? Am I getting stale? That emotional crash after a quiet post is part of the invisible cost. You gave a piece of yourself to the crowd, and the crowd shrugged. It stings, even if you pretend it doesn't. For some, the cycle becomes share, get a high, crash, repeat. The platform begins to feel less like a tool and more like a parent you're constantly trying to impress. One that never really says, "That's enough. You can rest now." So you keep going, hoping one more post will finally fill the space that still feels empty inside. For some, constant posting is genuinely joyful. They love community. They love telling stories. They feel energized by sharing moments. They're natural broadcasters, connectors, entertainers. Posting is their way of inviting people into their life, of saying, "Come with me, experience this too." There is real generosity in that, a desire not to hoard experiences, but to share them. For others, it's about survival. They've been abandoned, ghosted, forgotten before. Staying visible becomes a strategy. If I'm always in your feed, maybe you won't leave me as easily. Maybe you'll remember me when you're making plans. Maybe you'll feel like you still know me, even if we haven't spoken in a year. It's not logical, but it feels comforting. The hard truth is that no number of posts can guarantee loyalty or love. People can double tap your photo and still never check in when you really need them. But the mind clings to the idea that if it keeps performing, keeps showing up, keeps impressing, eventually someone will stay for more than the show. The psychology of people who post everything on social media is not shallow. It's layered. It holds self-expression and self-doubt, courage and insecurity, creativity and exhaustion. These people are not just attention seekers in the lazy, dismissive sense. They are connection seekers, meaning seekers. They are trying to turn their life into something visible, understandable, and memorable, in a world that often makes us feel small and forgettable. So the next time you see someone documenting every moment of their day, try not to roll your eyes. Ask yourself instead, what are they really saying underneath all this? Because behind every "look at this," there is often a quieter sentence they're too afraid to say out loud. Please don't forget I exist. Please see that I'm trying. Please show me that my life matters to someone. And maybe, just maybe, that endless stream of posts is not just about being seen by everyone. It's about hoping that one day someone will finally see the person behind the performance. Sit with them beyond the screen and say, "You don't have to prove yourself here. I see you. With or without the posts, you're already enough."